tomorrow and how differently weird it feels?
Yeah, not too different. We just flip the days. So players will come in, get a lift on their own. A lot of them will knock out the film on their own, and then tomorrow will be more like what a traditional Monday was. And so we just kind of flip the days, and it allows us to get out there early on Wednesday and hit the ground running. I think the coaches like being able to kind of slide in and handle what they need to handle as far as reviewing the game, and then get on to the next opponent and start getting some prep work in and get ready for Tuesday.
Hey, Kliff, what'd you think of the way the defense responded after giving up those 10 points early on?
I thought they battled their tails off the rest of the game. I mean, it was hot. It's a very good offense, great play caller, and had a couple tough breaks early, but competed. It seemed like every throw, every run was contested, and so really impressed by the coaching staff and their adjustments, and then the players. Just the overall effort, the kind of refuse to lose type mentality, some of the stops they had there at the end.
Hey, Kliff, after looking over the tape, what did you see out of Kyler's just decision-making as far as when he's in the pocket, when he decided to leave, kind of compared to maybe last year?
I think first game type stuff, made some tremendous plays like he always does, and there's some things he'd like to have back, and that was kind of to be expected without a preseason, without a lot of live action. And then you're going against one of the top defenses in the league and one of the best fronts in the league. And so proud of the way he battled, but we'll definitely get better from that and continue to try and improve.
Next up, Catherine Fitzgerald, Darren Urban, Josh Weinfuss.
Kliff, talk to me about Chris Strebler. Y'all obviously went with him as a backup, got him involved in that, I think, 3rd and 1. So has he cemented that role as backup? And if so, what did he do to do that? And how do you want to get him involved moving forward?
Yeah, we really like Chris. Didn't know what to expect. Watched his CFL stuff and was running around up there making a lot of plays. And then you get him here and did a nice job picking up our offense. Very accurate player, smart player. Athletic, as you can see, and so we wanted to get involved, and we'll see where it goes. But he plays quarterback. It's not one of those deals where he's a slash guy. I mean, he's a real quarterback and has done a really nice job. We feel great about Brett as well. Y'all saw what Brett did last year when he had his opportunities, but we just felt like for now Strev gives us a dynamic there with his special teams ability as well that we're going to have him up right now.
Hey, Kliff, I was just wondering about the health of Jalen, Thompson, and Mason Cole, and also the job you thought Gaillard did when he had to go in the game.
Still working through it on those two guys with Mason and JT. Hopefully not too long, but we'll see kind of tomorrow where that's at. And I thought Lamont did a nice job. That's not easy to step in. Second-year player, didn't play any last year. At center, making all the calls, doing all the things we asked him to do, and I thought he handled himself well against that front. Allowed us to have a couple big drives there late to win the game, and I was impressed. He's always been super competitive. He's a tough-nosed young man, and he got in there and competed well.
Hey, Kliff, we talked to you yesterday about DeAndre and Kyler, but I wanted to kind of ask you, why do they mesh so well, and why were they so effective yesterday?
I'm not sure why. I think anytime you have a dominant player like Hop, he's going to mesh with any quarterback that he steps foot on the field with. He's just that type of presence when he's out there. And I think yesterday when we were struggling a little bit on offense, Kyler went to him and continued to go to him, and Hop did a nice job of getting open. We feel like we have some really dynamic wideouts, and yesterday was Hop's day.
Next up, Doug Haller, Cam Cox, David Brandt.
Cliff, just what was your reaction to Larry Fitzgerald play where he grabbed the ball out of DeAndre's hands and went down to give you guys some time to set up for that field goal?
Yeah, as a coach, I mean, it's incredible to watch that. I mean, he has one of the highest football IQs you'll ever be around, and we show situational football to our players here on a weekly basis, and some of the long-term clips that come from years back are of Fitz doing things like that, whether it's getting down when the clock's running, you got to kill it to kick a field goal, or he's catching an onside kick and running around for 2 seconds so the game's over. I mean, he is a heads-up player, and to have him be on your team, you always feel very confident in those situations when he's in the game. But it just shows what he's about. He's about winning first and foremost, and he'll do whatever it takes.
Kliff, just to follow up on that, I've talked to some high school coaches this morning who plan on showing that to their team today in a meeting. Just what can young football players learn from that play?
You know, I think more than anything, selflessness, and then just always being able to have your wits about you when you're on the field. I mean, he wasn't a part of the play really. He was towards the sideline, could easily just stepped off the sideline, and he, knew to go grab the ball, take it to the official, get set, and allowed us, in 13 seconds to kill it and kick a field goal that eventually ended up winning us the game. And so I think just being, in the situation, having your mind right, is huge for those young players.
Hey, Kliff, curious about a couple defensive guys after you've had a chance to look at it. What do you think kind of the good, bad, and ugly of Isaiah Simmons' first game? And then also what kind of Chris Banjo seemed like he was showing up a lot at the end of play, just being around the ball a lot. What do you think of his performance?
Isaiah was in his first game, obviously, and it was moving pretty fast for him to start, and I thought he settled in as the game went on. But that's going to be some growing pains early on in the season. There was no off-season learning the position he's been trying to learn, and actually multiple positions. That's never going to be easy. But as the game went on, you started to see it slow down for him a little bit, and it'll continue to do that. He's a tremendous talent, and I expect him to get better and better as the weeks go on. And then Banjo's a guy who had a phenomenal camp. We felt like when we wrapped up camp that he was the guy who could step in for either of the safeties and continue to help us, and he did that yesterday. Played a bunch of snaps, made a bunch of tackles, and just couldn't be more impressed by him as a teammate, the way he engages with his teammates on the sideline and the energy he brings to practice, whether it's special teams or defense. I mean, he's the type of guy you want on your roster, and so it was great to see him get that opportunity and then make the most of it.
Next up, McClune, McManaman, McPhooey.
Hey, Kliff. Thanks for the time today. Hey, just curious, big picture, kind of how you keep the momentum going of a big win against the defending NFC champs and also guard against the old not letting your team read their press clippings too much.
Yeah, I think we've addressed that throughout the offseason. We know what we've been around here. We know what's been said about us around here for the last few years. And so with our leadership in that locker room, I don't expect anybody to start celebrating anything at this point. So I don't expect that to be an issue. And then it's just all about continuing to work hard. I mean, we're big on each day you show to the facility, you try to get better in every phase, and that's what we're trying to do. We're not marking out long-term goals, anything of that nature. It's, hey, when we show up, we're going to grind and get better, and those things will take care of themselves.
Hey, Kliff, realizing it's a, take what they give you kind of situation. You guys didn't dial up very many long attempts yesterday, but are you itching to see what you can do when you open things up, especially with now what you really saw, what you got with Hop?
Yeah, well, they played a lot of two high safety looks, and we try to be efficient as the game went on, and we started slowly, and we're always looking for chances to push down the field, but we want to get first downs and do what is working, and yesterday wasn't one of those games, and hopefully those opportunities arise, but we'll continue to just try and be an efficient offense and take what the defense gives us.
A spin-off of Bob's question there, Coach, and that is the running game kind of didn't get started right away, but you ended up with 180 yards rushing. Was that game plan going in that you wanted to throw the ball first or maybe work your way into the run game? How did that develop?
No, I think our tempo, had something to do with that as we started to be able to string some plays together there in the second quarter. Felt like their front tired a bit, and everybody did. Nobody was really in condition for that first game, I don't think, but wanted to push the tempo early, do some stuff laterally early, and then kind of pound the ball as the game went on, and I felt like it worked, and we were able to have some effective rushes later on.
Next up, Odegaard, Jackson, Fitzgerald.
Look, does it feel like the depth on defense is noticeably better this season? And if you can count on an improved defense, does that help either you or Kyler psychologically that you don't feel like, hey, we have to do everything offensively?
I do think Steve's done a great job of bringing in, quality talent that has fit in really well and giving us a chance to rotate more guys in. And so you're going to need it. We saw it yesterday. JT got hurt in the second play of the game, and Chris was able to step in and play at a high level for the remainder of the game. And having a defense step up like that just allows for more possessions and, takeaways and things of that nature, which definitely boosts the confidence of the offense. And so I think both phases and special teams especially kind of all rose up together when we needed it the most yesterday and made plays, and that's what you're looking for.
Kenyon Drake, I think, mentioned last week that you had put up the 3-12-1 stat of the last couple of Septembers, and just getting this win, what does that do? Is it a belief that the confidence that these guys know what they're capable of now? What's the biggest thing about getting win number one?
After watching the tape, I think it's that you played against a very good football team in a really good game, competed at a high level, and did not play our best. Obviously, it's week one, and it's a lot of things to teach off of and clean up, and it always feels better to do that after a win. And I think as a coaching staff, that's what we're most excited about is, it's an old coaching cliche, but the biggest jump you like to see is from week one to week two, and we're hopeful that we can clean a lot of those things up and play at a higher level next week.
Hey, Kliff, you mentioned last night how it took you maybe a quarter or so to kind of get into a rhythm of play calling. And week one last year, I know you had mentioned that maybe like so much of that time to prepare for week one kind of made it a bit harder. So how did this year compare to last year, week one? And is that just something that's always going to be a challenge for a season opener?
Yeah, I felt much more comfortable this year. Just, I think the process, the game day, you really can't simulate a game day situation as much as you try. There's things about it that are just unique to the actual games, and so I just felt out of rhythm at first, and we couldn't get much going. But luckily, special teams bailed us out. Defense played their tails off, kept us in the game. We were able to get it rolling late.
Next up, Signs, Urban Jarecki.
Hey, Coach. Now that you guys have the success that you've had so far with DeAndre Hopkins, how difficult is that going to be for opposing defenses to game plan for? Because, obviously now they're going to be worried about stopping Hopkins. And how can that open up things for guys like Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk, because Hopkins is going to be drawing so much attention?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope. I mean, he's that type of talent. Teams are always going to know where he's at. And always try to take him away, and we feel like we have some dynamic wideouts. You name Fitz and Kirk, and we got Andy and Keyshawn, and then some great running backs and great tight ends that we feel like can all make plays when called upon. And like I said, yesterday was kind of Hop's day. He got hot and carried us through, and we have a lot of guys capable of having those type of days. And the more weapons you have, the more challenging it is for defense to prepare for you. And we just have to do a good job as a coaching staff to continue to spread the football around.
I know that you guys have been high on the progress that Hassan Reddick has made, but did he give you more in the first game that maybe you were even expecting coming into the season?
We felt really good coming out of camp that he had found a good niche and a good home there at that position, and he definitely showed up. I mean, he'd been competitive, been making plays all camp at a high level, and that's what we saw yesterday. So I think we were expecting him to play well, and he did, and just excited for him. The transition to inside backer wasn't for him, and he had to bounce around there for a couple years, and I know he was really frustrated about it, but to see him playing loose and free and finding a good role, it's exciting to see.
Kliff, after the block punt, you guys get at a 1st and 10. It looked like Dan Arnold and Chase Edmonds may have froze those linebackers. What did you see on that play?
Yeah, there was kind of a misdirection play, and we were able to get out on the perimeter, and then Chase had an unbelievable effort to get that in the end zone, kind of laid out. It was the left hand, got that ball across the pylon, but it was a play that we had stolen from Tennessee a couple years back, and they scored a touchdown on it as well. So I guess it's 2 for 2, but Chase did a great job, just individual effort.
We will wrap up with Weinfist, McManaman, Fitzgerald.
Hey, Kliff, have you heard from the league about wearing your mask throughout the game? And if so, will you change anything for next week?
I have not, but I'm sure that I will be better at being aware to keep my mask up next week.
Josh, just ask my question, Coach. You're off the hook for me.
You too, Catherine?
Well, I'll follow up with actually when you consider a face mask like Andy Reid, and then separately with the game ball to Hopkins. What was that moment like just kind of in the locker room yesterday?
Yeah, no face mask, but I'll do obviously a better job of being aware of having my face mask up. Just cool to see, for him to get his deal done in the manner he did, and then to have that moment with his teammates. And you can see the appreciation, the respect his teammates have, because they know on Sundays he's going to give them everything he's got, and that's all those guys can ask. And so to have two guys like Buddha and him have the type of performances they had after signing, the two richest deals, I guess, ever at their positions, it was a special moment to see that. I mean, those guys, regardless of how much they're getting paid, are going to go out there and lay it all on the line, and their teammates appreciate that.
Coach, thank you very much. Everyone, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Kliff.
Thank you.